The National Hurricane Center has issued the latest advisory on Danny. Are we seeing any signs of strengthening at all?
Not right now. It's still the same strength. As a matter of fact, it looks like it's weakened just a little bit. It's sort of poorly defined right now, and that's good news. There's a change in the forecast track intensity as well, and I'll talk about that in a second. But you can see 45 miles per hour west-northwest at 12, so slow just a little bit. But it's basically an exposed low-level center now with a big, broad area of stronger winds on the north side and the east winds that are pointing toward Florida. That's going to bring some impacts just from that right there. The pressure's all the way up at 1,007 millibars, so it's still relatively high pressure for the circulation right now. All right, let's get to some of the details with it now. There's the circulation. You can see it's exposed. See some of the winds around here not showing really any significant strong winds. There's 22 miles per hour up there and then a couple of missing ones, 16 over here. So poorly organized, but we expect it to potentially increase. It's a real trick relative to the intensity forecast. That's the one that we're most concerned about right now. Now here's the latest from the Hurricane Center, 45. By tomorrow morning, they bring it up 5 miles per hour, very modest. And then by Friday morning, 70. Saturday morning, very briefly to hurricane as it zooms by the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And then on Sunday morning, it's a non-tropical low-pressure system that has 75 mile per hour winds with it. So very briefly a hurricane, and it could go by New England as a hurricane. That's sort of the worst case scenario. Let's look at the intensity potential here with this circulation. There's a center right there. It's moving through this trough of low pressure, this upper level low that's been bothering it. Out to the west, some fairly fast winds moving right into it. So it doesn't look like this is going to develop much in the next 24 to 36 hours. But once a big trough of low pressure comes down into the central U.S., the winds aloft that are going to carry it and accelerate it to the north could actually aid in developing the system, and it may actually develop sort of from a non-typical tropical cyclone development mechanism where it gets an outflow to the north with a big trough that's of non-tropical nature, and that's why the potential for a hurricane. It's still an iffy scenario, and that's probably the worst case scenario. But let's look at some of the impacts. By Thursday night, we're going to have some waves coming to the coast, basically from the southern Outer Banks down to Florida. Florida will get them first. 4 to 7 feet, not very big, but some dangerous rip currents with it. And of course, as it goes by the Bahamas, about 10 to 15 feet, breaking out on those outer reefs well away from the shallow water of the Bahama Islands. Then on Friday, as it moves to the north, we could see 9 to 14 feet if it strengthens and heads toward hurricane strength. If it doesn't, these waves are too high. So I'm putting them in here now just to warn you that the waves will be coming up primarily on Friday as it makes the turn and accelerates to the north. So there's a circulation there, poorly defined right now and not a threat to any land areas as we speak. We're watching one other low-pressure center that just come off the African coast. That's not going to bother anybody for a long time. Tropical storm IGNACIO moving northwest. It's actually a low cloud swirl moving not in the direction of that high cloud that's going to blow right off the top of it, but it's going to bring some waves to Southern California about 3 to 5 feet, and with it will come some rip currents.